Welcome everybody to Super League Raw. This is the 23rd of June, and to kick off tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to announce our team for round number 10.
It's the Super League Raw team of the week for round number 10. And at fullback, it is Jake Connor of Hull FC. Connor was the catalyst on which Hull FC built a dominant display against the Leigh Centurions. The question does remain, can he be as influential against top opposition? Perhaps this weekend against England? We will find out. On the right wing, Ben Crooks of Hull KR. For the second week in a row, it is Crooks who has commanded our right wing. Scoring 10 of the Robins' 18 points against Wigan with 3 from 3 with the boot, he was the difference on the night. And at right centre, it's Peter Matautia of the Castleford Tigers. Darryl Powell described Matautia's effort as a big performance with carries that packed a punch. Both the Man of Steel and Albert Goldthorpe committees agreed, awarding Matautia maximum points. At left centre is Oliver Gildart of the Wigan Warriors. Despite being on the losing team, it was Gildart who produced an individual performance that was to be admired. 2 well-taken tries and fantastic work with ball in hand deserve better from the team around him. On the left wing is Adam Swift of Hull FC. It is great to see Swift playing some of the best rugby of his career. Not afraid to come in off the wing, his running lines and pace are causing opponents real problems in 21. Ryan Hall, watch out. At standoff, Josh Reynolds of Hull FC. The mark of a great halfback is what you produce in an attacking sense, and Reynolds was superb versus Leigh, building on a great season thus far for the Black and Whites. And at scrum half, well, it is Mark Sneed of Hull FC. Reynolds' partner in crime will join him this week. Sneed was yet again workmanlike in this game, and it was a masterclass of kicking and game management once again. Well done to Mark Sneed. At prop is Jack Wells of Salford Red Devils. Salford needed someone to lead from the front against Huddersfield, and Wells put his hand up, both in terms of offensive meters and defensive efforts. Wells showed the character so many Salford players have been missing this term. And at hooker is Andy Ackers of the Salford Red Devils. Many match-winning performances are won and lost at dummy half, and Ackers' performance, like Wells, was stellar. Richard Marshall will be looking for consistency in the weeks ahead. At prop is Chris Hill of the Warrington Wolves. In his testimonial year, Chris Hill is once again producing performances that are rolling back the years. Despite his years, if injuries were to plague any forwards in the England squad, Hill may just yet force his way into contention. At second row is Ben Curry of the Warrington Wolves. Curry is having his best season since knee ligament layoffs. In big games, big players come to the fore. It was a titanic battle versus St Helens, and Curry's try and effort throughout played a big part. And at the second row is also Andre Savelio of Hull FC, keeping his place week on week. Savelio's hat-trick was absolutely superb in this game. He was also very, very good throughout, making 131 metres. And loose forward is Joe Westerman. Not for the first time or the last, it will be Big Joe this week, who fully deserves his place in the Combined Nations match this weekend. Despite mixed reactions to the news, Super League Raw predict a great year once again next year at the Tigers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your team of the week for round number 10.
So round number 10's team of the week announced there, Greg. And of course, welcome to another edition of Super League Raw Weekly. Great to have you along, mate.
Sir, good to be back.
Indeed.
Again.
So, yeah, just leave that on the screen just for a minute or two. What's your thoughts on that? A few new players in there this week. Jack Wells, Andy Ackers making their first bow of the season. Oliver Gildart also.
Oliver Gildart on his comeback game as well. I'd agree with most of that. I was looking through that. I think honourable mentions maybe for Quinlan at fullback. Perhaps McShane as well. I'd have said Andy Ackers, but McShane really controlled that game against Wakefield, second half especially. I would go with that. I'd have my Man of Steel elect Widdop in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was another good game from Widdop. I mean, just quickly going back to the hooking role, I think, we'd all agree Salford needed something. And I think that, those two Wells and Ackers in that game. I mean, Levette has been pretty much their standout all season, but in that game, Andy Ackers, Jack
I agree.
Wells,
And it was a great win. It was a great win.
Massive win. Massive win.
So it didn't do much for my prediction score, but some really upside down results this week.
But
it makes for a great competition. Makes a great
mate.
competition.
It does. Now a lot of Hull FC players in there, and so sometimes I'll bring this off. We'll go full screen for a bit. We often take into account who teams are actually playing, but when you consider how dominant Hull were in that game, I have to say, some of the players this year for Hull really standing out. I mean, again, you could have Chris Satter had another great game.
Well, I actually had him at prop as well. Maybe an honourable mention.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, Saté is an absolute beast.
Yeah, he's having a great season.
He's just an all-round top prop.
And he's still off contract, isn't he? At the end of the season.
Oh, I think they've re-signed him.
Have they re-signed him?
Yeah, they've offered him a new deal. Yeah.
No, I say he's had a monster. He's had a monster season. Absolute monster season. And very briefly, Chris Hill. I mean, unbelievable the renaissance in Chris Hill, and a few reports coming out tonight that Huddersfield Giants have approached.
I've heard
Chris Hill for next year.
Yeah, I've heard they've offered him a 2-year contract, and we've only offered him a 1-year contract.
Well, he's 33.
He is. I think taking the captaincy off him has been the boost he needed. Yeah. I think a lot of Warrington fans will have commented that he wasn't quite the player when he had the captaincy that he had been beforehand. No. And if this is to be his last season with the Wire, he looks like he's going to go out with a bang. I still think he might end up at Lee.
Yeah.
But if they're not in Super League,
that's it.
Then Huddersfield might be. Yeah.
If they go out of Super League, I think Huddersfield is certainly a chance. But absolutely what you say there, I think this is probably Chris Hill's best season in about 4 or 5 years. Unbelievable. Yeah. Like I said, a renaissance in him.
Since before he took the captaincy on.
Yeah, no, I agree. Right, so as we always do when we start, 139 additional members on the week, 1,157.
Thank you very much.
We seem to be waiting for the 1,000 for ages, and now we're well over.
It's like waiting for a bus.
It is, and out somewhere.
Do you remember buses? Do you remember get on buses?
Well, you still can. Don't get me on buses. Don't get me on buses. I've never understood why you would make the fare so high to have an empty bus. Surely, economies of scale says reduce your prices and have a full one. Anyway, we're not here to talk buses.
Controversial.
Very controversial. Moment of the week, mate.
Moment of the week. I'm going to combine moments and try of the week because they're the same move. Try of the week was Jack Brown's for Hull against Lee. And the moment of the week was a little pass by Savelio in that move, which was just superb.
Sublime.
Yeah, sublime. That is the word I didn't want to use.
Sublime, sir, sublime. Let's get the repertoire get the thesaurus going early on. In terms of moment of the week for me, I'm just going to say the entire St. Helens Warrington game. I thought it was a great advert for the sport. Yeah. I thought I said I think this time last week this could be that game. It could be like playoff rugby league, and it absolutely was.
It was absolutely
very playoff like. For a second half of a rugby league game to be 0-0, it's been a contest. For me it was, as a fan, it was gripping, but even from the neutrals' perspective, that was just a proper game of rugby league.
That's the word, a proper game of rugby. I think we said last week, didn't we? It was either going to be a narrow Warrington win or a Saints blowout. I think, and I think we both aired towards a narrow Warrington win, judging by the record that we got there over them over the last few years. But what a game! What a game!
Phenomenal. There was it had everything. It had everything. Like I said, the tension was there. The defense on both sides. For it to be 6-2, the defenses have come out on top. I just felt, again, it was interesting because I was flitting between the Warrington fans page and the Saints fans page. Both were getting into the ribs of the referee. I always find quite interesting. But there were a couple of things that happened in that game that I found a bit odd. I think at one point, Warrington wrestled what looked like a St. Helens player to the touchline, and the referee, to my knowledge, basically played the ball, whereas it was either a penalty or he was in touch, and he went to play the ball. It was like, well, what's happening there?
Yeah, I don't know whether he said the tackle was complete, and therefore after that, I think it was when the player's head, I can't remember which way it was there, player's head touched the whitewash.
Yeah.
So I think he probably judged that the tackle was complete, and that movement is after. Now, if that movement's after, that's a penalty.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The penalty that Saints got when Walmsley just basically threw the ball away should have been a penalty to Warrington for Roby's knees in the back of Ratchford.
There was a couple of incidents like that, and I was watching a couple. I can't remember what game it was last week. Now it might have been the Huddersfield game. In fact, no, I'll tell you. Was it the Huddersfield? There was a game again last week where
Castleford Wakefield, where
the 10, he should go for 10 goals up from a player, and you're like, well, what? We said it last week. That's got to go. It's got no place. I mean, let the referee. We don't want these imaginary cards and all of that coming in. But I mean, enough of that. The game itself, absolutely phenomenal. Really, really enjoyed it. In terms of try of the week for me, there was. I get your point on Brown, and I got a bit of stick, actually. We got a bit of stick because we put like the try of the week piece on, and Adam Swift seems to be coming out on top with that, which I've got no issue with that at all. That was individual brilliance. Absolutely what you pay your turnstile money to see. Great try from Adam Swift. And the Brown one for me, yes, it was a great, but there was some shocking defence in that move. And that's what made it. So for me, I get it. It was a great, it was a full length of the pitch. It went through so many hands. But there was times in that move where you're just looking at it and you're thinking, that is shocking defending. It should never have got that far. And I think last week...
I thought it was more panic rather than shocking. They couldn't get back. They couldn't scramble back quick enough. The move was that quick. And that's what turned it for me. I get your point. 100%. I just didn't... I thought it was more panicking defence rather than they just couldn't handle them. They just couldn't handle the pace of the attack.
Yeah, I get that, mate. I do, but like I say, because there was just, for me, when I watched it again, I thought, no, there was opportunity there for Lee. Lee just made a complete botch of the defence. Whereas
we'll have to agree to disagree.
We will.
I'll get you cancelled in a minute if you don't behave.
No, we're massive advocates of a little grubber kick here and there.
Oh yeah.
And so for me, there was a couple of them last week. I thought Swift's, like I say, individual brilliance, phenomenal. But I like the Adam Quinlan one for OKR.
I looked at that one.
It was great awareness. To just pop the little grubber in. Quinlan, saw it well. I just like that try. For me, it's a purist try, and that's. What
you're trying to say, Dave?
I'm just saying it was a purist try. It was a great try from Adam Quinlan.
They were both. Let's agree that they were both great tries.
All great tries. All great tries. Absolutely, I couldn't agree with more. Right, team of the week.
Team of the week. Right.
Go on.
I could have gone for Warrington. A fantastic performance, but as I say, they seem to have the hoodoo on Saints at this moment in time. I could have gone for Salford, because they beat Huddersfield with 12 men, and I'm sure we'll discuss that in a minute. But I did go for Hull KR, simply because it's the first victory over Wigan at Wigan in an age, and it wasn't just a 1-pointer it was a good performance. By Hull KR, they although it's only 10 points, they bossed them. They bossed Wigan for large parts of that game. So I've gone for Hull KR for that reason. And
I'm not disagreeing with you. They're going from strength to strength, aren't they? And they didn't have the greatest start. People forgetting this. The LKR did not have a great start to this season.
They had some tough games to start with.
Really tough. But
get
credit where credit is due. I mean, in fact, again, tonight there's rumours coming out that OKR are now rivaling Leeds Rhinos for Blake Austin's signature for next season. But yet again, Tony Smith proving what a great coach he is.
My views. I think he's the best coach in Super League.
Unbelievable. Tony Smith. Warrington, it can't be underestimated what he did for the culture of Warrington Wolves. It can never be underestimated what he did for the culture of the Wolves. And if you listen, to Hull KR fans and people who are a bit closer to the club, he's doing it again. It's ground up. He's building not only a team, but he's building a culture. He's making them dream, isn't he? It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal how well they are playing.
it was just a superb performance.
Yeah.
They dominated, as I said, large parts of that game. Scored some great tries. The defence, they must have held Wigan up over the line 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
4 or 5 times. It was just incredible. We talk about Warrington Saints defence. The Hull KR defence was phenomenal as well in that game. I know they conceded a couple of tries, I think. But yeah, absolute phenomenal performance against a good Wigan team.
Absolutely.
Who are getting the first teamers who've been missing are getting the first teamers back, like Gildart and players like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you looked at their 1-13 last week, mate. That's a proper Wigan outfit that are going up against.
I agree.
Going up against
honourable mention to Salford as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But with the greatest respect, there's a golfing challenge between Wigan Warriors and Huddersfield, isn't there, at this moment in time? And but it is an interesting one for you, right? I don't know if you're aware of this, but Hull KR, the second highest try scorers in the Super League. And now, of course, Abdul's playing out of his skin, Parcells playing out.
Well, I don't think they had Abdul playing on Friday.
No, they didn't.
Which makes an even better win.
Well, absolutely, yeah. But some of these players obviously contribute to those 50 tries in terms of how they're playing. Crooks is playing. Crooks has really started to fire this last couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, you look at Hull KR's stats. They are playing some really good rugby league, and this won't surprise you. The number, this stat won't surprise you, whether you know it or you don't. 100, the highest offloaders in Super League. That is not a surprise, is it?
No, with Tony Smith in charge.
Exactly.
Definitely not. Definitely not with Tony Smith in charge.
31 offloads this season. We know Tony Smith, and that again, to Tony Smith's credit, he doesn't grind out results. He turns teams into attractive ball playing. That's what he does. The Hull KR fans must think it's Christmas because this is a team that's got great heritage. Great heritage. They've probably been under they won't like me for saying this, but they've been in the shadow of Hull FC now for quite a few seasons.
For a long time.
For a long time. Disappointing again. It's rumours are that the derby might be in jeopardy because of the amount of COVID cases now at KR, which is such a shame because it's perfectly poised for that game on the 1st of July. Perfectly poised.
Yes, it is. It is. That'd be a shame because I'm looking. I always like a good Hull derby.
There's always a bit of biff in there. Always a bit of biff in there. We like a bit of biff. We always say that. We like a bit of biff.
That's why we watch State of Origin.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, but with the new rule changes and stuff, that's probably not going to happen now.
Sanitising the game too much.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, it's not tiddlywinks, is it?
No.
Quote of the week. What are you going with?
Quote of the week. I've got.
Go on.
Go on. What are you going to say?
I'm wondering if we're going to clash here, but go on.
I'm going to talk about Christian Wolf's quote about stopping players from feigning injury.
We're going to clash. Go on, carry on.
Now, I agree with the sentiment.
Yeah.
Although it turns out that Toby King was genuinely injured and couldn't go off because he had no interchanges.
Yeah, it's about 3 to 4 weeks to say that, if I can.
Yeah, his medial, thankfully, not his cruciate.
Yeah.
Now, this started creeping into the game about 4 or 5 years ago. I remember going spare at Wembley, and this is no disrespect to Hull and their fans, but the number of Hull players when we were attacking the line in that cup final that we lost, who were, whether they were feigning injury or not, I wouldn't like to say, but the number of Hull players that the referee stopped the game for, and it's kind of crept in. Junior Sow was always doing it when he was at Salford.
Yeah,
I remember Junior Sow thinking he was dead, and 30 seconds later he ran the full length and scored a try. So
you're absolutely right.
I agree with him totally.
Do you know what? I'm with you. I agree with him. I absolutely agree with him. However, and this is not, look, at the end of the day, this is the way I feel. And it was the same under Sean Wayne at Wigan. Sometimes you've got, the mark of a great club is not how gracious you are in victory, it is how gracious you are in defeat. That's my personal belief.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We go back to Tony Smith. Tony Smith was always gracious in defeat. He still is. He's always been that way. I very seldom in close games where Smith comes out the loser, do you hear him not giving credit to the other team? But after that game, it was all about what St. Helens didn't do, which again, I get to a point. As a coach, you're disappointed. You've had a game plan. You haven't executed the game plan. But there comes a point where actually you've just got to say, well done, Warrington. And for me, that would give it more gravitas in terms of when he talks about things like, stalls in play. And don't get me wrong, I think there was one with Ben Curry that, maybe. The Toby King one, absolutely not. Toby King was injured.
He was genuinely injured, yeah.
Genuinely injured. The Ben Curry one, yeah. But I'll tell you what, be careful what you say, because let me tell you now, between now and the end of the season, St. Helens will do exactly the same.
And have done. And
they will.
The other thing that they were talking about, and the Sky commentary and the punditry on Thursday night was something to behold. Right. But they were talking about John Wilkins saying St. Helens will be at the RFL on Tuesday, talking about slowing the play the ball down. I watched that game back, and the sad person that I am, I timed how long players were in the tackle. St. Helens, on average, were on the tackles for 7 seconds. Warrington for 5. Go figure. And that's not me being biased, because there's nothing more I hate than holding down in the tackle.
You might be being a little biased.
Maybe. But a smidge. But I thought, my God, St. Helens and Wigan have been the masters of slowing the play the ball down for years.
Mate, it's what title-winning teams do.
And the minute it happens against them, everybody's up in arms. And, come on, lads. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
And I'll tell you what I find disappointing as well. And I've seen this in the last 24, 48 hours. There's no smoke without.
I've just got this image now of every Saints fan going back and watching that game and with a stopwatch.
Stopwatch.
They'll be on next week going, it was 6.5 seconds. No, it's all bants, lads and ladies. It's all bants.
Absolutely. I tell you what I find as well really disappointing. Obviously, I think there's no smoke without fire. I think there's a great chance that Sean Wayne goes back to Wigan at the end of the World Cup. I think that could happen. And it's interesting because in one way I'm going to criticise Wigan, and in the next breath I'm actually going to give him a bit of praise. The criticising pieces, I think, the way the fickle nature of fans, all of a sudden people saying that Lamb needs to go and this, that, the other. This is a man who was a second away from winning the Super League last year. Yeah. A second away. A different bounce to that ball, the Super League champions. They were League Leaders Shield winners, we know that. They could have easily been Super League champions. Lamb's not done a bad job at Wigan. He really hasn't.
He's done a good job. He's done a good job.
And this season, let's get a bit of context. They're banging the race for this year. They're banging the race. Yeah. There's no question about that. They've got too many good players. We're still not at the business end of the season. Once the business end of the season comes, Wigan are going to be thereabouts.
Of course, that's when Wigan and Saints kick in.
Have a bit of respect. Just have a bit of respect. That's all I would say. And but then that's the criticism. But then in the praise bit, you've got to admire. And I don't normally give Lenigan much admiration, but you've got to admire the way they've handled this George Williams thing. I mean, I have to admire that. At the end of the day, Wigan could have stood on. But again, it shows the stature of the club that they've said, no, if you're not committed to this, to the cherry and whites, you can go. Yeah. We're not, which, let's be honest. How many people watching this now watch players in their jersey who think that they're not playing for the badge? And there's a chairman who's basically saying right from the get-go, as much as we want your talent, as much as we could do you 7 or 6, if you're not committed to this jersey, sunshine, regardless of the fact we brought you through our academy system, you can go. Yeah. Which I think is admirable.
And not pursuing any legal action as well, which is
it's admirable.
Which is
it's the right way of running the club. Speaking of setting but speaking like of producing your own, obviously Warrington Wolves were the first team to bring in heritage numbers, to my knowledge, in Super League. Yes. Nice little touch last week with a bit of
barbed wire.
The barbed wire to symbolise that they've come through the academy. That I'm sure will catch on. Again, just a nice touch to do that. So the likes of Mr. Philbin and Mr. Curry and the likes, enjoying that one on their shirt going forward. So a little bit there. Just staying with George Williams, I found this quite funny on the Castleford Tigers page. Ian Henshaw put a cheeky one out. As George Williams looks like he's off to Warrington, which again, that's not confirmed yet.
No, it's gone quiet on that front.
And it's Powell's signing. I think it would be a smashing idea if he plays for Castleford until the end of the season to get used to the way Powell would like him to play, as I think this perfectly makes sense, which I thought was a genius.
That's a great idea. Why not?
Keep on there from a Castleford supporter.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I found that really funny. Right, just going back to Saints, again, just a quick scout around social media. This is Charlie Holmes on St. Helens Rugby Football League's Facebook page. And you know what? Obviously not being too close to Saints, you don't get into this level of detail, but his post is one that I'd like to discuss with you. Amor, Batchelor, Coote, Eves, Farges, Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook, Kev Nagama, Nisbet, Roby, Rizali, all off contract at the end of the season. Rumours are Farges, Coote and Kev will be moving on. Amor, LMS and Roby all getting close to the end of their careers. Bentley going to Leeds, Thompson retiring. We have a really big rebuilding job to do at the end of this season. Can only hope it is done right.
Wow.
That's a lot of quality.
That's a good team in its own right.
That is a lot of quality.
Yeah.
Now, I weren't aware that it was that big.
I didn't know about LMS.
No.
I knew Robe, I knew the others. I knew Bentley was going to Leeds.
Yeah. When you actually read that list out, this, in the same way that the Sinfield generation, Peacock generation of Leeds, that could be massive for St. Helens come the end of the season.
I think they'll probably sign most of those back up, I would have thought. But Coote's going. I think it's common knowledge that Coote's leaving.
Yeah, Farges is going.
Farge now.
He's going.
Now that's a strange one. Unless it's
again,
Roby. I mean, Roby must be 66 now, mustn't he? Roby
easily, yeah. He's actually getting a gold-plated Zimmer frame. But,
so Dodd. I mean, you got the kid Dodd who has probably been brought through to replace Roby.
It's a lot of play, it's a lot of talent that's coming in. And like I say, recruitment at St. Helens is going to have to be very, very good come the end of this campaign.
And having said that, recruitment, they're never usually far off the mark with recruitment at St. Helens. Whether it's bringing through academy kids, whether it's bringing in astute signings, they don't often get it wrong. Saints and Wigan don't often, and Leeds maybe a bit recently, but they don't often get it wrong, Saints and Wigan.
Well, speaking of Leeds, Kevin Sinfield announcing that he's off to Leicester in Rugby Union, citing that he wants to be a bit more hands-on. I mean, that's a massive loss to the sport.
It is. And I think probably money has got a lot to do with it as well. No disrespect to Kev, If they're offering him twice as much as Leeds were, you'd snap the hand off. But yeah, it is. It's a shame. It's a shame we couldn't, I think probably Sinfield is probably the sort of person who would make a great coach.
Yeah.
And could well do. But you see the success that Edwards and Fowler have made in Rugby Union.
Well, Ford. You'll call me cynical, but I bet his knighthood's not far off now. Just call me cynical.
Maybe that's part of the deal.
I'm not being funny, mate. Maybe
that's part of the deal.
How Kevin Sinfield did not get a knighthood this time around, and wouldn't it just be sod's law? He goes off into Rugby Union, and one follows.
Gets his knighthood.
Oh, mate, that would wind me up. Tom Lynham as well. I know I'm floating about here, but Tom Lynham looks like he's moving on at Warrington. Yeah,
he's out of contract. There's a few at Warrington out of contract actually as well. There's rumours that Jake Mamo's going to Castleford.
No, it's Cass now.
Castleford, yeah.
And on that, again, I just don't get this. I mean, Castleford Tigers fans, I don't know what page they've been on this week, but the amount of people who have come out since Joe Westerman has signed for Castleford and have shown dismay. I don't get that. Westerman is playing out of his skin. I mean, I would argue on current form, the best number 13 in the comp.
Oh, close too, if not
on form.
Yeah,
yes, there's like Oliver Partington's not doing much wrong at Wigan. Yeah, you've got Morgan Knowles who's just coming back from injury. Warrington at the moment really haven't got a 13. We know that. Garcia's
since Westerman left, we haven't had a 13.
Yeah, Garcia's playing well for Catalan. We know that. I think he's got a layoff as well. He's picked up an injury. But all of these 13s that we're talking about there, the lads at Hull FC, Cater and Lane are interchanging, playing well. But Westerman, for me at the moment, he's head and shoulders completely deserving of his call up to England. He's
a good player, He's a good player. He He tackles, he runs with the ball, he's got good handling skills.
Yeah.
What more would you want in a loose forward? He runs the channels well. He links well between his centre and the wing. What more do you want in a loose forward?
I don't know if you caught it, mate, when the team of the week was being announced, the stats, mate. But you know, you don't often see, and we haven't seen it at all. He seems to be getting better every week. But you know, last week, 41 tackles. You know, you don't see many loose forwards banging in 41 tackles in a game. No. You know, he
and that's in a game that they put 60 on the opposition.
Honestly, mate, 22 carries for 135 minutes. Now, to put this into context, last week, right? Just to put this into context, right? In terms of meters, there was only 4 loose forwards last week out of the ones that played that went over 100 meters. Okay, those were Westerman, obviously, Nathan Massey at Castleford, Elijah Taylor. Sorry, I didn't mention him, but Taylor's having a good season. We know that. But they were the 3. In terms of tackles, he had the second highest tackle count after Joe Greenwood. Joe Greenwood played a decent game last week. Just basically his all-round game battered everybody. Yeah. He's all. There's been times this season where he's been that talisman, that person that's come here, grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, grabbed the team, and even when they were losing, Westerman was. He never seen. I mean, there was an interview. It might have been the Saints game just before they got the first win, where we said Chester's gone, and Westerman was interviewed just before Chester come out, and his belief in what they were trying to achieve, his belief in the squad. I mean, that must have been inspiring for the team. I mean, this was a team who I think had lost 4 or 5 games. I can't remember how many it was at the time, but he had complete and utter belief. I mean, now when he was at Warrington, I don't think he had that level of maturity, but I think he's maturing. I think he's getting better every week.
Yeah. Sorry, I got it mixed up with the games this week. Westerman, they played Cats, didn't they?
Yeah.
I got my games mixed up there. But yeah, I mean, and for a lot of the season, he's played with a beaten pack and still stood up.
Yeah.
So I mean, I saw one Castleford fan, I can't remember the name, saying it was a backward step. Castleford had taken a backward step in signing Westerman. I mean. Massey, I almost put Massey in my team of the week because of the work he got through. But yeah, Westerman, it's just a good player.
Good player, and of course they've also signed, Cass as well. They've signed George Lawler, haven't they, from Hull KR next year? So they're too good. And Liam Watts is still there. Millington obviously is coming back from injury. So they've still got some beef in that pack. And I'm waiting for when the Mamo thing gets announced because Matauti and Mamo swap. I get it. They're probably getting the raw end of the deal on that. I think Matauti's a better player, but
although Mamo this season has stood up.
He's a good player. There's no question. There's no question.
He's scored some vital tries for Warrington this season, Mamo.
And Castleford fans, whatever you do, if and when that gets announced, to be under no illusion. He's a great little player.
Yeah.
He's a great player. Brave, great pace. He's got the eye for to break a line. He's got a good step on him. Good player.
A game changer. A genuine game changer.
And can play multiple positions.
Yeah.
We've seen this year that Evans has not played every game. He could deputise at full back. We know he can play wing. So he's quite versatile across the back line. And to be fair, don't get me wrong. From my perspective at Warrington, and this is a bit harsh, but I'm going to be harsh for a minute. Matauti or Mamo would have Matauti every day of the week, and I would do. I've just got to say that. That's no disrespect to Mamo. I just think Matauti is a better player, and I'm
going to be greedy and say, why can't we have them both?
Well, salary cap.
Yeah, I know, but we breach it every year according to every other fan in the league. So
absolutely, people are seeing the. What's over that. Just on the topic of centres as well, a little mention to Bill Tupper of Wakefield out.
Yeah, out.
Playing, but he's been playing some good rugby this season. Hopefully, wish him well, speedy recovery to Bill Tupper. And we're already 35 minutes in, so we're going to have to move on. But I've actually posted tonight on our Facebook page an article that was done by Adam Pearson, the Hull FC chairman, talking about the real dire straits that Hull are in and the game is in terms of finance at the moment. It's not a good read.
No.
It really isn't. Questioning why is it that other sports are getting more assistance than rugby league. I know a lot of supporters out there donated season tickets last year and did their bit. But
yes,
I think supporters are probably going to have to do more.
And this is on the back of a reduced deal from Sky.
Exactly.
When other sports were getting handouts from the government, we got a relatively small handout. Yeah. Yes, I know we're seen as a minority sport, unfortunately. But yeah, we had a conversation weeks ago about Salford fans not turning up and the chance they're going to lose the ground. When full capacity is allowed back, hopefully middle of July, we need to pat them grounds out again.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree.
We need to pat those grounds out again.
Right. So there's a small matter of this weekend. England taking on a combined nations team. Now, crystal ball time. I think when this was scheduled, with the now, it's unbelievable. It's, coincidentally, we've had a couple of cancelled games for COVID-19 these last couple of weeks. So, in that respect, it's bad timing. But rather than focus on, a lot of people at the moment commenting on that this shouldn't be happening. I think a couple of the coaches have come out and said it. And yes, it is going to probably change the dynamics of this weekend's fixtures a little bit. It is what it is. It ain't going anywhere. So let's take a look at the positives. It should be a fine game of rugby league. There's some incredible talent. Hey up, Sluggers in. Sluggers in.
Not heard from him for a while.
I know he's in. He's in. But yeah, in terms of, rugby, here it is. Here's the England team. Now, of course, tonight, Walmsley's pulled out.
Yes.
With his knee.
Injured.
So what I've tried to do here is I have tried, of the 19-man squads, I've gone with the team that I think that they're going to go with. I think Ratchford. I didn't have Ratchford in this team. I had Aletsky on the bench, but now Walmsley's out. I think Ratchford will get a spot now on the bench.
Quite possibly, yeah.
The thing that I don't like about this, and I'm just going to say it straight out, I think it's a good team. It's as good as it can be. But the fact that I put Farrell in and there's talk it could be Bateman or Farrell in the centres.
Yeah.
How Jack Welsby has not gotten a look in here. I don't understand. Farrell's played well at centre this year when he's deputised for Wigan. I get that. But he's a second rower. You always say, play people in their positions.
It seems to be the age-old thing where you play players out of position internationally. Now, Australia can do that. Australia could probably have a back five, all of fullbacks.
Yeah.
They could have 5 fullbacks at fullback, 2 centres, 2 wingers.
Yeah.
Because they have got several world-class fullbacks in NRL.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to disrespect fullbacks in our game, but in our game, counter that by playing players in their best position.
Really agree with you.
For years, we had Sinfield playing at 6 when he's a 13. We had Bateman playing in the centres when he's a second row. We had Blake Costin on the wing. Come on, please.
No, mate. That was embarrassing. Yeah. Absolutely embarrassing.
Play players if we get beat, we get beat. If you lose, you lose. Yeah. But play players and play the best players in the position.
No, I completely agree.
And I think this is, I get that Farrell and Bateman are great second rows, but I think Bateman's played a lot at loose forward this year. He's played with number 13.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of interchanged.
If Westerman weren't in the form that he is, I think that probably would happen. But I just don't see how Westerman doesn't start this game on his present form.
You've got to make a choice. Would you put Farrell in ahead of Bateman and have Bateman on the bench, or the other way around?
Who knows? I don't think that's going to. We'll find out on Friday night, and
I'll play them both.
I'll be viewing that. I think it should be a good game. We'll find out. But I think that McShane will start at hooker with Clarkey on the bench. I think we both agree. Clark in international rugby league, I think Clark off the bench could be a very powerful attacking option.
Yeah. I agree totally. Yeah. It didn't quite work for us when Steve Price tried it earlier in the season. Didn't quite come off that first game of the season against Cass. But yeah, it's just a good team on paper, isn't it, mate? It's a very good team. Very good team.
Slugger's been incredibly controversial. He wouldn't even have Bateman in the 17. I think that's a bit harsh, personally, but fair play to him. But hang on, hold your horses, right? So I just want to draw your attention to the to certainly the 1, 6, and 7, because this is the team that I'm expecting they're going up against. So I've left out of this team. There's a lad from Featherstone, forgive me, I forget his name, that was in the 19, and also Kay from Wakefield. I don't think they're going to make the team. This is the team that I think it's going to be. I think halfbacks, England are in for a really tough night here, because that front line, we've got our view on Cruz Lehman. Obviously, he's got Pete on the bench as well. But, Satai, Pryor, we were talking about Pryor early season, playing really well. Satai's a beast. Savelio's in great form.
Yeah.
And what I like about this team is the left edge. If you look at that left edge, it's all Huddersfield. These players know each other intimately well.
And what a change from the start of the season where they couldn't buy a win.
Yeah.
And yet, they've transformed over the last few. Oh, yeah, they lost against Salford. But, that is a good pack.
It's a great pack.
Very, very good pack.
If you look at the bench, Paulie, Tanginoa and Montage on the bench. So they've got some biff there. I think, and I'll be honest, and actually I put this into our predictions for this week, by the way, just for a bit of sport, because obviously we've got the Saints games being cancelled. So just for a bit of sport, I thought I'll bang it in there, And I will be going for the combined nations. I actually think England could lose this.
I'd be interested to see those packs side by side and do a like-for-like comparison.
Well, I mean, first of all, you've got Pryor and Satai there. They're going to be going up against Aletsky and Cooper. Now, to be fair, that's pretty even. Even. I think I think England, they have definitely got the best hooker. Second row, again,
that's fairly even.
There's not. For me, where there's a massive disparity, the biggest disparity between those two teams is at halfback.
Yeah.
Luke Gale, Johnny Lomax good play, don't get me wrong, but I think the Luke Gale, Johnny Lomax combination, if Hastings and Caesar get it on,
it's more dynamic. It's a more dynamic halfback pairing.
Massively. And what a game for Jake Connor. I mean, you heard me in the team of the week saying that, Jake Connor, I'll just take that off for a bit so we can see us a bit bigger. Jake Connor is an enigma. He's got to start stepping up against their big teams.
I agree totally.
His temperament seems to go in these games. It's like the pressure or the occasion gets to him. What he did at the weekend, 4 assists, 1 try, he was unplayable again. But it's Lee. We saw him at Wigan, where Jackson Hastings absolutely did him for that penalty. 100% did him. He knew. It's almost like the Cristiano Ronaldo wink when Ray Rooney got sent off. Players know they can get at him. And what Jake Connor's got to do in this game, if he's got any chance at all of making the England squad at the end of the season, it's not just the performance, it's his temperament in this game that he's going to come under the microscope.
I agree. If he can sort that side out of his game, he would be pushing for that England number 1 fullback spot.
And that's it. I think from a natural talent perspective, the boy's got it all.
Yeah, but he's a penalty waiting to happen in the big games.
It's the flaw of genius. That's what it is, isn't it? The lad has got the lad has got it. There's no question about that. If he could just get his discipline right, for me, he'd be unplayable. Yeah, unplayable. Yeah. So this is a massive. I think when I look at that team, Jermaine McGilvery, I don't think he makes it. I really don't. This was our starting winger in the last World Cup, but I don't see him making the squad. I really don't. But Jake Connor, this is a massive game for Jake Connor, and fair play for him going into this comeback. It's almost like he's saying, right, if I can't have an England jersey, I'll go up against you.
Yeah, and let's hope he proves them wrong. Not that I'm anti-English.
No,
but I'd like to see him do well.
Yeah. So in a roundabout kind of way, we walked our way through round 10 just to confirm. Obviously, Huddersfield 8, Salford Red Devils 9. Well done, Salford. Big win for you, that one. I have to say.
Down to 12 men as well. I mean,
we haven't even spoke about that. What was that?
I've seen the incident, and it's as clear as day who does the high tackle. It's right in front of the referee, and I don't know what's happened there.
What happened there? If you actually watch the replay,
he's been told 3 or 4 times as well that he's got the wrong man.
Well, that's the unforgivable bit. But if you actually watch the replay, I think what happens is, was it Greenwood? was Greenwood, wasn't
Greenwood
it?
got sent off.
Yeah. Greenwood lies on. So it happens, and he sort of blows his whistle and he turns away. And then when he looks back, there's only Greenwood still in the tackle. So I think at that point, he's just seen on the back of the shirt Greenwood and his number. And in his head, that's
it's clear as day. It's clear as day. It's Sargent's.
100%. Clear as day. But he gets it wrong. But do you know what? Again, credit to Salford. Where did that performance come from? And when you consider the amount of players they had out in that game, and they've rallied. I mean, again, we talk about passion for the shirt. Sometimes it's not your most talented players that actually step up and are counted. It's the ones who've got something to prove. It's the ones on the, for me, somebody who is on the rise normally is a better shout than somebody who's in decline.
Yeah.
And I think maybe one there for Richard Marshall to consider as he goes on in the season.
I agree. I wonder what was going through Sargent's mind, though. I mean, does he actually put his hands up? It's a difficult one, that, isn't it? Do you put your hands up and say, actually, ref, it was me, or do you just kind of...
Well, I think they made the decision that, and no disrespect to Greenwood, but they made the decision that Sargentson is more critical to that game than Greenwood is. They've sacrificed him, but again, in the spirit of the game, that's not right.
No, it's not.
It's not right. It's not. So, but anyway, there you go. Lee 22, Hull FC 64.
You've got to feel Philly, haven't you? You've got to feel Philly.
Yeah, phenomenal game at the Totally Wicked, 6-2 Warrington, fantastic. Wakefield 12, Casford 18, great game.
That was a good game. That was a good game, yeah.
That was on while we were doing this last week.
That's right, yeah. That's right.
So went away, watched that game, really enjoyed it. And, Casford Wakefield games are always good in the same way that all derbies are good.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. And, of course, we've given massive raps already to Hull KR, who second defeat in a row for Wigan Warriors. So, So what does that do to good old Super League? Well, here you go. Don't quite, and again, this is where this league table is a bit odd. So Warrington have got 15 points to Saints and Wiggins 14, but they sit in fourth. I get it. It's the win percentage. Get that, but it's odd. It doesn't sit well.
Yeah, it's strange.
It doesn't. But Catalan, win
percentage should only be used when a team has not been able to play a game.
I think, and it's interesting as well, because if you go to the Championship, at the moment, the Championship, Toulouse have played 7 games and won all 7. Featherstone have won 9 from 9, both 100% records, but Featherstone sits second because of the points difference. Toulouse 495 to Featherstone's 374. But for me, 2 wins is far greater.
Exactly.
I mean, and if I was Featherstone at the end of the season, if I'm not being promoted because we've got more points on the board, our win, we've got more points on the board, or our win, or we played more games and our win percentage.
This is where it's going to get. This is when it's going to.
It's going to go into courts because that for me is not. I just don't understand how they could possibly. If that was the finishing table, and I know it's not in the Championship, Featherstone are going to be absolutely livid, because how can that be? You played 2 games more and won those 2 games, but because you haven't scored as many tries or whatever as Toulouse, you're not coming up. Odd.
It is. It's a crazy situation. It might need something like that to make them wake up. And I know this has been introduced because we weren't sure of how many games we were going to get when we kicked off again after during the pandemic, during the lockdown, and I understand that, but. You're right. How can you've won more games and yet sit second?
No, odd.
It wouldn't happen in football.
No, odd. Then of course we come to 5th and 6th, and that is just like I say. Look at that! Please God, let the 1st of July happen. That'll be a real. I can't remember many times where the 2 Hull teams have been that close. I mean, look at the points for 2-4-3 plays 2-4-1. All right, Hull KR's defence has been a bit more leaky, but not of late. They've got strong.
Timed it up lately.
They've got so that's just got a great game written all over it. And then of course Casford, Leeds, Huddersfield, Wakefield. Well done, Salford, as we've already said, and that you have to feel for the Leeds Centurions.
Yeah, I can't unless there's a miracle.
Yeah,
I can't see Lee being in Super League next season.
No,
unfortunately.
Completely.
So,
no.
I mean, I'd love Lee fans to come on and let us know what they think.
They probably agree with us, mate. I would say,
quite possibly,
but you know, again, we feel for him. Right, top try scorers. Ryan Hall is still top, of course, with 12. Then we've got 3 players on 9 with it. Adam Swift with his brace, of course. He got a brace at the weekend. Dow comes up into that into 9, as is Toby King. Lynette remains in there for Hull KR, and then of course we've got Jordan Turner, and then of course Jake Bibby. Jake Bibby, you know, he's been on 8 tries, I think, for 4 rounds.
I was going to say, yeah, he's not.
Doesn't seem to be moving.
Yeah, he's just.
But Andre Savelio, of course, not in that league table, but well done to Savelio. 3 tries from second row, always worth a praise. And
Yes.
Jacob Miller, obviously Gildart got 2. I thought Ryan Braley showed great, you know, well done to Braley. He remained in that game for Lee to the death and got his brace. But Jacob
he
Miller,
had a good try. His second try was a good try.
Absolutely, yeah, brilliant try.
Yeah.
And Jacob Miller, you know, great couple of tries in the way.
I like Jacob Miller. I think he's a very, very underrated player. And I'm not wishing to disrespect Wakefield, but I was always surprised maybe a couple of years ago he didn't maybe go to Wigan or to Saints or to Leeds. I think he's a very, very underrated player, Jacob Miller.
Yeah, he's certainly doing a job for Wakefield these last few weeks, without question. Right, we come then to top try assists, and of course with his 4 in that game against Lee, Jake Connor now got a little bit of breathing room at the top. 17 try assists this year for Jake Connor, brilliant stats. Then of course Josh Drinkwater with 12, Jordan Abdul, great season with 12, then Mr. Lomax with 11, and Sam Tompkins with 11. So well done to Jake Connor. Last week, 2 apiece for Liam Marshall, Mickey Lewis, Jordan Lane, Joe Mellor, and Josh Reynolds in that category. Top meters, Ryan Hall leads the charge currently. Tom Davis just behind him, then Darrell Thurts, then Ken Siu, and then of course Liam Farrell. Zach Hardacre, because of his suspensions now, of course he was, I think, for about 6 rounds was leading that. He's gone down in that particular one. Here's one for you. Going back to the Warrington St. Helens game, the top meters gained last week, Tommy Makinson, 220. That's a great effort from Tommy Makinson, especially when you consider he's just come back from injury. We know he's got it's a hamstring that he pulled recently. Fabulous effort. The chat we've just had over Greenwood and Sargentson, the second highest meter gain last week, 207. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And
going back to what you said about Hardacre, though, Wigan's dipping form has coincided with his ban, it would seem.
Mate, absolutely. I think, you know, I mean, all's not well at the minute, I don't think, at Wigan. You know, they're in a bit of a, you know, it's a couple of weeks, it's a couple of losses, but you know, we'll get to the week that's coming in a minute. It's a big week for Wigan this week. Right, we go then to top tacklers. Still Danny Houghton, 436, then Mr. Powell, then Jay Pitts, Luke Yates back in, and Joe Westerman with his 40-odd tackles last week, now in the top 5 for top tacklers. Good to see a nice split there in terms of positions. Obviously, hookers
two hookers at the top,
but also, you know, a couple of forwards coming in. Right, in terms of last week, Sam Powell, top tackle maker, 59, then Daz Clark with 57. And great to see Ashton Goulding back for Huddersfield Giants. He was the 3rd highest tackler last week with 56.
He's been out a while, Ashton Goulding, hasn't he?
Yeah, good player.
I think he was a guest. I think he was a guest pundit on for one of the games, and he a couple of weeks ago. He spoke really well. He spoke really well. And of course, that frees up Lee Gaskell now back into standoff. And of course, Lee Gaskell been announced to, is it Wakefield Gaskell? Yeah, that was a strange one. Good player.
I didn't see that coming, I have to say. Right, we then go into the Man of Steel, and again, with the exception of the Peter Matautia getting the nod, a lot of different views in terms of Man of Steel. Didn't get the Jack Hughes one, I have to say. Stephen Rashford sort of got that one from an Albert Goldthorpe perspective. Then the Robins, Mickey Lewis. We didn't mention Mickey Lewis had a fine game.
Yes, he did.
Against the
He's having a good season. He's having a good season, actually.
As did Takarangi, good from him. Then, of course, you can see there Andy Ackers getting the nod for Man of Steel, Chris Atkins, the Goldthorpe, and then again there Jake Connor and Chris Satire. So a little bit of conjecture there in terms of who got the nod. But in terms of the leaderboard, this is how it looks: Jordan Abdul, Sam Tompkins lead, then Lomax and Widdop, and then of course Jake Connor. in there as well. Westerman now leads the charge from the perspective of forwards, having took over from Ben Curry. But that is the top 10. Jack Wellesby will be very proud, I think, in terms of where he currently sits in that. In terms of the Albert Goldthorpe, Jake Connor leads that one. As does Gareth Widdop, both on 15 points in the Goldthorpe, with Johnny Lomax at the moment in third position on 14. So yeah, to be honest with you, not really got any argument with either of those two league tables.
No.
It's about right.
My man, Mr. Widdop, is closing the gap, though. He was nowhere in sight a few weeks ago.
No.
Really upped his game.
He's playing well, mate.
Injury-free. He could very well do it.
He's playing very, very well. So we then come to what happened in terms of last week's predictions, round number 10. I led with 12 points last week, taking me up to 114. Then it was your good self, Greg, with 9 points.
Not bad.
Up to 94 now, and the fans with 7. So you're 4 points behind the fans. I've still got a little bit of a cushion there, which is awfully nice. Right, we'll go into the week that is round 11. As we always do, we show the form table. I particularly like this one, just to walk us through. So Castleford taking on Catalan, 5 wins in a row. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just try and absorb that, Greg. I'll walk you through form, but just to make life easier for people watching, we'll bring ourselves back to the big screen. So yeah, Catalan, 5 wins out of 5. Castleford, of course, back to winning ways last week, having gone on
lost a few on a bounce, didn't they?
Game losing streak. So Castle, right. Then, of course, we've got this international. So 5 changes for Castleford going in. This, of course, McShane out, as is Montage. Is it Matangi, I think. And Gareth O'Brien is also out with injury.
Well, he got injured in the early doors in that game last week.
In their place, Adam Milner comes in, James Clare, whilst Lewis Bynek, Sam Hall and Brad Graham are also called up. No Jake Truman, no Shreese Blair, no Greg Eden, no Grant Middleton, and no Fecky either. So lots there for them to consider. In Catalan's perspective, they make 4 changes. Sam Tompkins and Tom Davis called up. Really pleased with Tom Davis.
Yes,
absolutely
playing well.
Michael McAloran and Benjamin Garcia also unavailable for this one. But on the plus side, Gil Dudson back. That's a big one for him. Matt Whitley and Alrix Da Costa, who had a great start. He's a good player, Da Costa. He's back in there, which is good. Obviously, Joel Tompkins is still out. Based on what I've just said, I'm going to be open. I'm going to be transparent with you in terms of what the prediction league actually looks like going into this. Our predictor this week, Dean Hughes, Hull KR fan. Thank you, Dean. Appreciate your time.
Cheers, Dean.
He has actually gone in this one. The Dragons 0-8. I also have gone the Dragons 0-8 because I just think that the players that Castleford are losing are going to have a bigger impact than the ones.
I'm going to go 9. I'm going to go 9-17 Catalan.
Mate, I've got no argument with that. Now the question is,
you've not got a pen either.
I have. It's there. I've got the pen. I knew it was around. You know what I mean? No, always have the instruments to be required. So 9-17 Catalan. Do you know what, mate? You might not be wrong there. You might not be wrong.
I'll give him my form. I'll be totally wrong. I'll cast for the win by 20.
Possibly. Obviously Castleford at home, but no. I think. Look.
They've got a lot of players out there.
I don't know if we've done enough justice to Catalan, because Catalan, the Rugby Football League must be panicking over that grand final, because the way they are playing, weirder things have happened. They are at the moment, 5 wins in a row. Wakefield. You could argue Wakefield, but then once you take that 3 in the middle, Hull, Saints, Wigan, to take maximum points from those 3 games, you're in form.
I will. Not to sound controversial, but I think I can almost guarantee Catalan won't be in the grand final. Mr. Kendall, you're in charge of this one.
There's a few dodgy earpieces going on in the Football League. Anyway, that's controversial. Right, Wakefield Trinity. Again, not disgraced in that game against Castleford. Obviously,
played well, took the chances. He could have won it.
Yeah, before that, obviously, they came up very short against Warrington, but obviously before that, they had a 3-game winning streak. They meet a Wigan team who, Catalan, but now Hull KR, going into what's about to happen. So Trinity, 20-man squad, in a senior Ryan Hampshire returning. Obviously, we mentioned Bill Tupou out. Kalepi Tanginoa also drop out. Whilst, of course, Riesling is on international duty. I would expect that Liam Kay might get into the Wakefield team. I don't think he'll make the 17.
Yeah.
And I think that he'll probably be released. Joe Westerman is also, that's massive. Joe Westerman out as well. And also Josh Eves, Jack Croft, Alex Walker and Josh Wood are all out as well. The Warriors able to name 18 players for this game. Farrell, Bateman, Hastings out, of course. Brad Singleton suspended. For 2 games, rightly so. In their places, James McDonnell is back in contention. Hooker Brad O'Neill is recalled from an impressive loan spell at Widnes. Bevan French out. Jay Field out. Ardake is still suspended, as is Tony Clubb.
This is a difficult one, this,
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that Wigan will not lose 3 on the bounce.
Yeah.
But they've got a lot missing.
They have. And very influential players missing.
They've got a lot of influential players missing, and I'm going to go Wakefield 0-8.
Do you know what? I've got exactly the same. I've got exactly the same. The fans forum members disagree with us. They have actually gone the Warriors.
Okay, fair enough.
They've gone the Warriors 9-17. So they see it
the
opposite to you. But hey, do you know what? That's fine. Right, we then go to the Halliwell Jones live on Sky tomorrow night. The Warrington Wolves taking on Lee Centurions. Lee, obviously, having a horrible time. Interesting this from both teams' perspectives. If you're Warrington, you're happy you're playing Lee this weekend.
Yeah.
If you're Lee, you're probably happy that you're playing Warrington this weekend.
Yeah, because we've got a few players out.
Yeah, it's that mad. Obviously, Warrington, 4-game winning streak now for Warrington. Castleford Tigers, Salford Red Devils, Wakefield, and of course now St Helens. Several changes for Warrington. Obviously, all the players that are involved in the international out. Obviously, and Toby King on top of that. In their place, Riley Dean, Ellis Robson. He's recalled from loan spells. Jacob Gannon, Doro. Controversial, of course.
Yes.
Morgan Burgess and Tom Whitehead are also included. Still no Clark. Is Greg Inglis been announced yet on the coaching staff? That's controversial.
No, there's still rumours flying around about that one.
Is there? Yeah. Those.
Yeah.
And Matty Ashton, obviously, still out. Lee, 18 players. Nathan Pete's expected to feature for the Combined Nations. Of course, so he's not there. Jamie Ellis joining York on loan. Brendan Elliott. Adam Sidlow also drop out. I'm surprised about Sidlow.
I'm surprised about Sidlow.
Jordan Thompson is back in contention. Still no Ben Flower. Blake Wallace, the finest mullet in Super League. Keenan Brand and Alex Gerrard. So, where do you see this one?
Being a Warrington fan for a number of years now, we usually back up an absolutely awesome performance like the one against Saints with an absolutely dreadful one against somebody, no disrespect to Lee, that we will be expected to beat.
Yeah.
And I've been mulling this one over all week when I found out the England squad and then the England 18 or 20, however many it was. But I'm still going to go with Warrington. I've changed my mind even from earlier on when we were talking. I'm going to go with Warrington, and I'm going to go 9-17. I don't think it'll be a massive win.
No. Well,
I'm going 9-17.
That's another one that we're agreeing with. Dean Hughes, like OKR, he's gone the wire 0-8 in that one. Sees it a bit closer. Right, we now come to the game on Friday night live on Sky. England taking on the Combined Nations. We've talked about this at length already. Where do you see it going? I've already said I'm going Combined Nations 0-8.
Well, do you know what? Just to be awkward, I'll go with England 0-8.
Yeah, which is exactly where Dean has seen it as well. Yeah. He's gone England 0-8.
I'll go England 0-8.
Fair enough. I've got no argument with that. Then we go on to Hull FC taking on the Huddersfield Giants. Right, okay. Hull FC, obviously, 2 games now, back-to-back, Castleford and, of course, Lee. Huddersfield coming off the back of 2 defeats, Wakefield and Salford Red Devils. In terms of what's happening, obviously FC, some big players out for them here. Jake Connor, Sata in Savelio, all out from this game. But in their place, not bad replacements. Joe Cater, Cameron Scott return from their injuries, and Jack Logan is named after a short-term loan to Batley. Still no Carlos Tamarari. He's going to be out for a while. Josh Bowden, Josh Griffin, Scott Taylor. Damn, there's some good players here. Jamie Shaw. Some massive players there still out for FC. Huddersfield, again, considering where Huddersfield are on the table, they have been really hit by this international. McGilvey, Latelli, Luke Yates, Aidan Caesar, Kenny Edwards, all involved. Adam O'Brien, Michael Lawrence, Jack Coggett, and Joe Wardle are also unavailable for Huddersfield.
Yeah, that's a casualty list, isn't it?
It couldn't have come at a worse time, this, for Huddersfield for me. In terms of where the predictions are on this one, not surprisingly, both going Hull FC. Dean going 0-8. I see it a bit bigger than that. I see it 9-17. Where do you?
I see Hull 9-17 as well.
Yeah, it may even tip over the 18 if I'm being honest. But
depends which. Well, I know it's half of the Huddersfield. It depends what's spurring Huddersfield on. It's probably one that could be quite close up until about the 60-minute mark, and then because Hull have got some players missing as well, and then maybe Hull will just pull away in the last 20. I could be one of those games.
No, I agree. And last but not least, Salford Red Devils against Leeds. Leeds obviously having a 3-week off period.
Yeah, and we're allowed, because they had 5 players in the international, to put it back till Sunday.
Unbelievable.
Warrington had 6.
Unbelievable. But again, I think that shows the intention that. And again, that could be that could be bad for Leeds. The fact that suggests to me they want players to back up. Which, a 48-hour turnaround, you could argue.
I don't think they're allowed to, are they?
Well, I don't understand them why.
Well, they're saying they've also got players out through COVID as well, still.
Well, hang on. Huddersfield have named a 13-man team.
Yeah.
They're having to bring in the reserves. Yeah. Well, actually, I saw it on one of the forums today, where they announced the squads. I think to make a point, Ian Watson has just put 13 players' names on there. Obviously, he'll bring academy players in, but I think that Leeds there. It's a poor show. 3 weeks out, Salford off the back of their second win of the season. I'll be honest, this is a tough one to call.
It is.
Where are you going?
I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to go for Salford by 8, 0-8.
Right. Okay. So this is probably the one where there's the most difference between us all. Which so I've actually gone the Rhinos 0-8 as.
Okay.
Might be right, might be wrong. It's one of those. Dean has gone 9-17 to the Red Devils. That's a brave shout. That's a massive shout.
Could pay off.
Of all the shouts that we have had there, I think that is without question the biggest shout.
Yeah,
that's a massive shout. If he gets that, I'll certainly be asking him for lottery numbers, because I don't see that one. But anyway,
I can see Salford winning that. Like you say, the 3-week break.
Could do. You're right. They could do.
When teams got a week off before the grand final and the days of the top 5.
Yeah,
it was very rarely benefited them. And that's why they changed the system.
Like 3
weeks off. Yeah, some names missing.
3 weeks off can go either way. And how many times when you get to the when you actually get to the business end of the season and in playoff rugby league, how many times have you seen it that the team who's got safe passage and get a week off then go on to lose the semi?
Yeah.
Because momentum is so important in sport,
exactly.
and so when I was looking at that, Salford will be a bit up this week. That'll have done the confidence no harm. And you know what? Somebody that we haven't mentioned in anything that we've said, Bet Patton playing in the halves,
and played well, and played very well,
and played well.
Yeah, going back to that, I remember the first time Warrington got to the grand final. Remember when Warrington used to do that? We got beat in the first round by Saints, so didn't get a week off, and then went all the way through to the final. Obviously, lost the final. But I think it was the first time we got. I'm sure it was the first time we got through, where we went to Saints and beat them in the semi-final for the first time. I think it was our first grand final. They absolutely they mullered us at home in the first playoff.
That's right.
And then we just went through.
Was that the Trent Waterhouse one?
Yeah.
Yeah, where Trent Waterhouse won it.
Absolutely ripped him a new one on his own.
As I recalled, he was very quiet leaving that ground that night.
It was a bit, yeah.
As I recall, it was a bit quiet.
Yeah,
I don't I don't think they were gracious in defeat that night either. But anyway, that's another story. And we've been harsh on Saints.
I'm glad I'm not having my second jab at Tony Wicked Stadium. Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's him.
It's him.
Like, get yourself a T-shirt done, Super League Raw. Here we go.
With a picture of my head on it.
Like a pincushion, mate, by the time I come out of there.
I've had my second jab, everyone, in case there's any fears that I might be.
But no, I mean, look, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to, Warrington again on the telly. Happy days. Looking forward to that tomorrow.
I'd rather be in the ground, to be honest.
I'm looking forward to the England. I mean, if there's all these people going on about, and I completely agree. It's a shocking time of the season for it to be.
Yeah.
They talk about we need preparation. Having watched that State of Origin, I think there's nothing other than Australia for the World Cup. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it will be.
No, Australia all the way, mate. I don't think even New Zealand and Scotland this time around.
No, I think. I hope I'm wrong for the sport, but based on what I've seen in the State of Origin, and God, we aren't even talking about Pappenhausen either. There's players that aren't even playing in Origin that have got a shout for Australia. But if they can do that to an Origin team, it could be an absolute washout. And
then throw the best of Queensland into the New South Wales team.
And you know what? It's going to be interesting now because Queensland. It's a bit of a test this at the weekend for Queensland because they were white hot. New South Wales in that game, white hot. They were unplayable. But Queensland now know what they're getting. They've been able to watch the video. They've been able to, this is a real test in terms of coaching, massive test.
Yeah.
I mean, I think from a Queensland's perspective now, I think the series is gone. I think I don't expect them to win this game on Sunday. I think from their perspective, though, if they can keep it in single digits.
I think Queensland is more damage limitation this time around than actually going out to it.
Yeah.
It could happen. I can't see it. Is it at the Suncorp?
Suncorp,
which is a fantastic stadium,
mate. Phenomenal. Well, and that's a bucket list thing for me. Me and Kate, because obviously the wife likes the rugby league, and we've never been over to Australia, but we have said that whenever we plan that once in a lifetime trip, it's going to be to coincide with Origin, and we want to be in that stadium
all day long.
We want to go and watch a State of Origin. We'll go for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I want to go and see the Bunnies live, and I want to go and see a State of Origin game live. That'd just be it'd be Christmas and birthdays and everything rolled into one.
Well, it will be. You won't be able to afford another Christmas, mate. So
no, probably not. But no, we can but dream. But hopefully that day comes. So in terms of rugby league action this week, obviously a little bit more. Not our usual fare, really. Only the State of Origin game.
It's been a strange few weeks with cancellations and then this England game. It's been where are they going? You get the argument again now. When are they going to replay these cancelled games, these suspended games, and then we'll get the player welfare issue coming into it again. That was. I can see an argument for having this England game, and other games going on because again there'd be a fixture backlog, but. It all adds to the fun, doesn't it? It wouldn't be rugby league without.
It wouldn't. And
having these conversations, would it?
It wouldn't, and it is what it is. I think what gives us all hope is the fact that again, not being political on this for any minute, but it's in the papers today. It's been in the news today that come the 19th of July, it's. All bets are off that social distancing can go. We should be at the herd immunity status, and maybe just maybe a degree of normality comes back, which would change. I mean, this season it's going to be what it's going to be, but it gives us hope that the 2022 season will be a proper Super League season where us the supporters can go and watch our team week in week out. And
I do hope so because the game could be in serious danger if it doesn't start getting revenue in soon from fans. So, what are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at Steve Cartledge has just put a post on there.
Are you laughing at me?
No. To be fair, fair play, Stephen. Fair play. He's just put on their State of Origin, not as good as Rylands versus Latchford Albion. More punch-ups there than in the State of Origin. Obviously, we know where Steve's going this weekend, down to good old Rylands. But yeah, no. Look, I mean, Origin is what Origin is. I hope it's closer. We don't want blowouts in Origin games. We really don't. Origin's live on Sunday. Obviously, Warrington are live tomorrow. And we have got the England Combined Nations game that is live on Friday night. So, yes, we've got 3 games to look forward to this week. Castleford fans, go out and buy those Wembley tickets. I've saw a couple of posts that are, questioning. Look, when was the last time Castleford...
45,000 fans at Wembley.
Come on. You've got an opportunity here. Genuinely, Castleford are in that arm wrestle. There's no doubt about it. Castleford have got a genuine chance. What we know about St. Helens is that, they haven't won this competition since 2008.
Yes.
Right?
It is.
Yes, we know that they're Super League champions, but let's be honest. We spoke tonight about Warrington beating Saints at Saints to get into a final. In playoff rugby league, in final rugby league, anything can happen. So Castleford fans, you are the 18th man. Get your tickets bought.
I understand how they feel, because when we went down the year after we lost to Cats and everybody thought we were going to absolutely wall that final, I actually drove down to Wembley that day, and the car was like a morgue. Nobody spoke.
No.
We were terrified of what the outcome was going to be. And look at how that turned out. Probably Absolutely. One of the greatest days in my life as a Warrington fan.
Yeah.
It can happen. It can happen. Hope and pray for hot weather.
Hope and pray for hot weather. There's people. Look, don't get me wrong. COVID-19 has affected everybody. Money's, in certain quarters, I get it. Money's tight and all the rest of it. But if this is your moment, if this is the moment where Castleford Tigers are going to lift the Challenge Cup, for me, probably the most historic trophy, Challenge Trophy. I mean, it's the FA Cup, but there's no besides the FA Cup. There's no other cup competition with the history of the Challenge Cup anywhere in sport. You've got an opportunity here to go down there and watch a culmination of an era that has been Darrell Powell with this breed of players.
Exactly, see him off in style.
And if you weren't in that stadium, you would regret not being in that stadium.
You will regret it. You will regret it.
And you don't want to be one of those 90,000 who said they were there and never went. You don't want to be that person. You want to be absolutely front and centre with the photographs to match.
Like the 30,000 that went to watch Wigan in the second division in 1979, 1980, or whatever it was.
Absolutely. So come on, Castleford Tigers fans, get those tickets bought. I personally am looking forward to the 17th of July, and that's when the final is. Feast of Rugby. I think York City Knights are playing in the. York playing that day? The
1892 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that one. I'm trying to. Is it Featherstone?
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it Featherstone York? Maybe. But it's a Feast of Rugby League. Get yourselves down there. Go and watch the game. Greg, as always, 15 minutes over. Who cares? Been an absolute.
Again.
We've gone through quite a lot there.
I hope we've not upset too many people.
Controversy is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful
big rap before we go. Big rap to Warrington Wolves women's team who won the second Super League game on the bounce at the weekend. Well done, girls.
Yeah, no,
fantastic. Keep it going.
I'm happy with that. And like I say, I'm keeping a very close eye on Featherstone. I'd love Featherstone with their heritage to really take Toulouse to the wire. In the championship, a great win against Dewsbury last week for them. See that Widnes actually managed to get another win. Fair play to Widnes. I gave you, I basked in the glory of you having a torrid start to your campaign, but
doing all right now, aren't they?
They're just outside those playoff places there, mate. They're just outside. Well done, Widnes. A win against another historic team in Sheffield Eagles, 30 points to 20 last week. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. And actually, we don't actually know when this is going to be. Not even had a chance to tell Greg. Greg might actually already know. I don't know. But we will be having a guest very, very shortly on Super League Raw. Ryan Atkins of Warrington Wolves fame will be coming on the show for a special show where we will get his take on things that are currently going on in Super League, and maybe we'll look back at his time at the Warrington Wolves and what he achieved, certainly those Challenge Cup games. It'd be nice if that coincided a little bit in and around the Challenge Cup time, but we'll let you know when that's going to be. We'll advertise it on Facebook. He'll be the first, hopefully, of many. We are trying to tie other people down as we speak, but that one is confirmed. Ryan has agreed to come on, which is absolutely fantastic. So we'll let you know more about that maybe next week or the week after. So happy days from me. Enjoy your rugby league as always, guys. We'll see you at 8 o'clock next week.
Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy